Mark exhaled as he watched Waneta Cain hop on her bicycle and ride down the driveway toward the main road that led into Horse Cave. What was wrong with him? He'd been nothing but rude to her all day. He'd been so direct and angry, it was like he'd been picking a fight. Why had he acted that way? After Henry turned the open sign to closed and locked the front door, he walked to Mark's side.
Care to tell me what's been going on between the two of you? Not really.
When Henry crossed his arms over his chest, obviously ready to stand and glare at him until he got the explanation he'd asked for, Mark dared to tell the truth.
All right. I'm pretty sure she's scared of me. Scared might be putting things a bit harsh, son.
As it always did, Henry's use of son eased him like little else did. Henry Lehman was the only person Mark trusted. He was also the only person with whom he could let down his guard. From the time Mark was old enough to care, Henry had believed in his worth, even when his parents hardly knew he existed. Even when his teacher looked at him warily, like he was about to steal something off the top of her desk. Henry had also taught him about love and kindness, about steadfastness and loyalty, too. For that, Mark tried his best to give the 60-year-old man honesty, even when it hurt to be so vulnerable.
Scared might be harsh, but it's accurate, Mark said. I meant to act better. I tried to act better, but after Waneta hardly looked at me for most of the day, something snapped. I said a lot of things I shouldn't have. Sounds like the both of you had a difficult day then. No worse than you. My being here cost you customers, didn't it?
Henry walked to the counter, opened the cash box, and started counting the bills.
If you're talking about James Iker, it ain't no great loss. He doesn't come in that much anyway.
There was his answer. His presence was costing Henry money, and that was no way to repay him for the job. Mark's pride told him that he should quit, not burden the best man he'd ever known, and certainly not take out his frustrations and anger on a sweet, nice woman like Waneta Cain. But he had no other options for employment. No one else had wanted to hire him, and Mark had asked most everyone in the area. He needed employment, and he needed the money it gave him if he was going to follow through on his goal of living in his old house and fixing it up into something special. Henry squeezed his shoulder.
Stop fretting, Mark. I'm sure you didn't say anything to Nita that can't be soothed with an apology. Waneta is a nice girl with a fine heart. She'll come around. Other folks will too. It just takes time.
He hoped Henry was right.
I'll try harder tomorrow. I reckon you're trying hard enough. Just relax and settle in. Once you show Nita the real you, she'll like you fine. In no time, the two of you will be getting along like salt and pepper. You make that sound so easy.
Compassion filled the older man's light blue eyes.
I suppose it won't be easy. But remember this. I'm not going to fire you.
Donka.
I'm also not going to let you quit.
The older man looked like a bantam rooster, he was so fired up.
So you're saying that I've got no choice but to stick it out?
Mark teased.
None whatsoever,
Henry replied, with a trace of humor sparkling in his eyes. Handing Mark a silver ring of keys, he said,
Now go out and lock up the greenhouses. Double-check that all the water hoses are turned off too, if you please.
Taking the key ring, Mark exited the building and exhaled. The August sun was still burning bright in the sky, practically scorching the ground below. They really needed rain. He rolled his shoulders, trying to ease the tense muscles around his neck. Maybe it was the weather that was making him so crazy. The 90-degree heat, combined with the high humidity, was enough to make even the best of men feel out of sorts. As he entered one greenhouse after another, he dutifully checked the hoses and picked up anything that he was sure was out of place. At the same time, he attempted to reconcile his reasons for returning to Horse Cave in the first place. He hadn't had a good childhood here. His parents had been emotionally abusive and completely negligent. Though they were Amish, nothing about their way